Hi, Lori Brown here. Pondercast is supported solely by the people who listen to it and by their small monthly donation at patreon.com/pondercast. If you like listening to Pondercast, please consider supporting the content you listen to and go to patreon.com/pondercast and become what we call a Pondercastronaut. Okay, let's go. Let's Pondercast. Say hello to Rich Aucoin and the blast of life-affirming, joyful sound that's about to take over your ears. If this is your first dive into Rich's music, here's what you need to know. From Halifax, Nova Scotia, recording for 12 years, latest album is called Release, and it came out in May of this year, 2019. Release is the last album of a trilogy of albums, and this uplifting collection of tracks could have been called Death, because Aucoin is diving into the concept of mortality here, but this is Death very full of life. And like his previous albums, he's written this album as a soundtrack, this time to Disney's 1951 animated feature, Alice in Wonderland. It's kind of a great metaphor for life's journey, right? And if you go to see Rich Aucoin live, you'll probably see this film playing in behind him. So let's start with the track. This is the opening track of Release. And the voice that opens the album is not Rich's, but philosopher and writer Sam Harris. This is the bass.
It is always now. However much you feel you may need to plan for the future, to anticipate it, the reality of your life is now. There's probably nothing more important to understand about your mind than that, if you want to be happy in this world. The past is a memory. It's a thought arising in the present. The future is merely anticipated. It is another thought arising now. What we truly have is this moment. And this.
Hey Rich, welcome to Pondercast.
Thank you for having me.
In this latest new album called Release, I think the first voice that I hear is not yours. It is the philosopher Sam Harris. What is it that he said, and why did you want him to start off this record?
He was giving a tribute to Hitch in
Christopher Hitchens.
Christopher Hitchens, yeah. In this video entitled Death in the Present Moment. And I was wanting to make a record about death, and I was searching for different inspirations, and it was one of the first things I found in the kind of journey of the record, and I felt like it was the start of all the books that I read for the lyrical content of the record. So I felt like it'd be right to start with the thing that kind of spawned that journey. I wrote Sam and was like, how would you feel about this being at the beginning of the record? And he was like, do whatever you want, that's cool. And so then I also wrote the people that posted the video to make sure it was cool by them as well, and then it made its way on the record.
It's funny how when you ask for something, more often than not, it just happens and you receive.
Yeah, I had avoided trying to clear samples and stuff in the past. I've made a lot of sample-based music, and then in the last minute of making the song, I just remove the Jenga piece of the sample. But I'm kind of looking forward to, after this experience of trying to make more things that contain samples of other things in the past.
Why did you want to make a record about death?
I think I kind of look at Release as the third part in the trilogy of the first three records. Especially since I am at the point right now where I'm coming to the end of my fourth record, so it's already, about to be mastered. So I fully moved on to a much different set of ideas. But I felt like the first We're All Dying to Live, like they all kind of were about death in different ways. And the first record was about that moment when you're trying to figure out how to live your life, but also with a reflection of mortality. The second record was realizing how fast that time expired, and that you were suddenly gone from being students and young 20-somethings to starting a career and trying to make that sort of work. And then this record was kind of, now that I'm out of my 20s, just kind of looking at it more introspectively, and kind of maybe also projecting some ideas of later in life as well, and kind of figuring out all the loose ends of things that I wanted to say about death over those three records. And yeah, I guess one thing made it onto the next record about death, but then I've pretty much moved on to some other topics of interest.
Because when you write about death, or anyone writes about death, I am so drawn to it and interested in it, because nobody does that. I mean, it's a topic that is to be avoided at all costs in polite company.
Right, yeah.
You do not talk about it.
Yeah, it's such a fascinating thing that it's like to bring up the bummer of our very known end that we're like, oh, well, we're just not going to talk about that. But I think that's just such a precarious way to live one's life, and can end up wasting a lot more time by not acknowledging it.
Right. You also smiled when I said that, and I'm wondering if there's a rebellious streak in you that says, if nobody wants to talk about it, then that's where I want to go.
Yeah, I mean, I have heard lovely songs about death over the years. I think there's definitely something about having the framing being like a joyous thing, rather than even the angst of the time, which is a song about grief and letting go of trauma and grief. It still has this catharsis that's not still in the grief and the pain, which a lot of the songs about death kind of felt like they were still dealing with it, whereas all the songs on this record are kind of looking at it from a point of released those feelings over the course of the song, sort of thing.
Catharsis is a good word, because when I listen to any of your music, even though the topics they can be what, anyone might call our modern malaise, whether it's anxiety or fear or death, and yet I come away with a joyous, cathartic feeling. And that combination of joyous dance music with those topics, where is it that you want audience to go?
That's a great question. It's funny because so many times over the course of my music career, I've been lumped in because of the visual aesthetic with party bands, and so someone will be like, "Hey, you sound a lot like this fun band I saw," and I'm like, "Yeah, but they're singing about pizza." and then I kind of realized that the lyrics that I was singing weren't hitting home on that person's perspective of the show. So I think with this show right now, and the show's had lots of different incarnations over the years. Like, it began as me not even interacting with the audience, being on the side as I showed How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and it was all about watching the film. And then it turned into this evolving dance party that I was in the center of, with using the audience as an instrument and a choir to help give the songs the sound that they had on the recordings. Mm-hmm. And then and it had earlier days had all the viral video and meme culture, and then for the last couple of years it's been more a film, the film lover in me's kind of ode to all my favorite films in the projections, and now with this Alice in Wonderland themed show and more of this kind of catharsis idea, I've been slowly working in more Alan Watts and other philosophers to kind of give these kind of meditations in between each song. So I guess I'm looking. It's such a very narrow ground, but trying to find an audience that's down to dance really hard and have a fun party, but also be mindful at the same time, and not just be what I've called when I go play a very drunken or late night festival stage or something, when the audience is glazed is the term that I've been calling it, where they are very excited and want to take part, but there's this impenetrable glaze in between you and the audience to actually get that connection. So a lot of my music, I think, comes from this folk kind of connectivity kind of place, where I want everyone to kind of feed off each other's energy and be aware of each other's energy, but and it not be this insular kind of dance party that they're having amongst their 3 friends they came with, or themselves. And
break it all down, we're just bones in the ground, what's left? Thick and thin skulls under the skin, when we're really just scared of death. All the while it pulls us apart, it was fear from the start for now. In the end there's nothing to choose, it's hate that we lose as one. Feel secure in groups we endure, it's a wall between us and them. Take a chance, it's a long song and dance, in the end we're just all human. All the while it pulls us apart, it was fear from the start for now. In the end there's nothing to choose, it's hate that we lose as one.
That was The Other by Rich Aucoin. Rich approaches the music business with a kind of outlier mentality. Think of someone like Amanda Palmer. His fans can call him on the phone, get free downloads from him, hang out with him when he's in their town. Aucoin has this beautiful, open, embracing relationship with the people who listen to his music. And he's built such a loyal tribe of Aucoin music lovers, and that's a really good thing, because finding an audience for your music gets increasingly harder as more options for your ears flood onto the digital scene. The storytelling of podcasts is becoming a real online alternative to listening to music.
It's a very difficult world for artists right now to break through to finding new audience, because you're just up against not only all your peers, but the entire recorded history of music. The way more people are spending time listening to podcasts, and it's such an enjoyable thing to listen to that I think, you know, the listenership moving to spending their time listening to spoken word and or watching all the like golden age of streaming of TV and films that we're in right now, that it's a super saturated world right now.
But you have superpowers, and you have a magic thing, which is that you offer people in your live shows, you offer them an experience. It is a happening, and it is something to be experienced, not just listened to. Yeah.
My booking agent Sarah and I were talking about. I've been starting the show with like a little beat that I made out of Netflix and the sounds of Netflix, HBO, and all the streaming services. And I haven't yet fully finished the idea, but essentially the shows are going to start with kind of all the logos and sounds of other things you could be doing, and just say thanks for being here, and just like make a little like show intro out of the other ways that we can spend our time, because I do think the act of communal ecstasy and communal celebration. There's this great book called Dancing in the Street that just talks about the importance of all these ways that humans get together and feed off each other's energy. The more we kind of just are happy to stay inside our own isolated laptops and iPads and watching things on our laps, it can be satisfying, but not nurturing. Leading towards the kind of entertainment of books like Fahrenheit, and stuff like that.
What does the audience give you back?
I think a reminder that I'm doing something that has worth for my time and other people's experience of existence. I've always called the good shows fuel in the tank. I've had a unique opportunity to get to know my fans over the years, because I've always put my telephone number on the screen at the end of the show, and as a result, the idea was that if you didn't want to buy the record, this was like pre-streaming,
right? You
could text me and I would just give it to you, so that you didn't have that guilt of finding it online and downloading it yourself.
I see.
And so I texted like over 15,000 people that way, and as a result, also got a lot of like personal messages that were very heartfelt and emotional and kind of like really beautiful things that people shared about their experience of the show and what it meant to them and stuff. So I've screenshotted all of the best ones over the years and hope to one day make like a poster to be like, oh, these were some things that helped.
The wonderful thing about going to see your show is that I feel like it has a kind of a homemade, do-it-yourself feel to it, in whether it's the confetti canyons or the parachute that you bring, and it's all simple things. And what it makes me feel like is encourages me that even in the sort of anxiety-ridden times that we're living with, is that we all have some ability to do something. Like it feels like I come out of there feeling like I can live fully through this, and you've given me some agency because
Yeah, because it doesn't seem so complicated that you're like, well, I can't even attempt that.
Yeah, you did it, and you did it with confetti canyons, and you created that stuff out of stuff that we all can
Yeah, that's an interesting point. That's cool.
And you send people out into the night feeling better than when they went in.
Yeah, that's the hope, for sure.
Thank you, Rich.
Thank you so much.
There. I'm going to leave you with the title track from Release and this plea. Please go see Rich Aucoin. I am pretty sure that you will have an amazing night. Have a great night. Have a great day. I'm Laurie Brown. This is The Release.